Hey everyone, welcome to today's show. We're talking about startup visa business plans. Yes, you heard me right. What's so special about business plans for startup visa? How can they help you get your PR or work permit, and how can they actually hurt you? You need to know what you're talking about, and that's why we've invited our special guest today, Ehsan Daneshgar from Launchpath, who helps startups in many different ways, and their expertise is specifically with startup visa. Thank you, Ehsan, for joining us. How are you today? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Reza, for inviting me. I'm good.
Thank you, Ehsan. Hello, my name is Reza, and I work with the Ingwe immigration team here in Canada, helping applicants move across borders. Whether it's for yourself, your kids, your business, or all of the above, we do make it happen. If you're thinking about immigrating to Canada or anywhere else, we're here to help. Get a free email assessment with us by filling out the form down below, or reach out to us directly if you're already active in the immigration space yourself, running your own business. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Launchpath.
So Launchpath is a startup business consulting company. All starts with my experience of working 8 years in government-funded incubators in Ontario. I noticed the gap in the market that immigrant entrepreneurs are not being supported, and they need a little bit extra help compared to local startups. I formed a team of all ex-incubator members and advisors, and at Launchpath we are helping international startups soft land in Canada, help them get a letter of support, go through understanding which designated organization is a better fit for them. We understand the challenges. We help them through those processes, and after that, once they get a letter of support, we help them through the 2 or 3 year, whatever the period of time is, to make sure that they are not alone. We don't leave them alone. We help them go through their milestone plan and achieve everything that's in there.
That's amazing, Ehsan. Thank you for that, because a lot of people or consultants leave those startups in limbo, and those startups don't have proper guidance of how to successfully run their startup to make sure IRCC is quote unquote happy. Our first question today, Ehsan, is what is a business plan for startup visa, and how is it different from other types of business plans for other programs?
So that's an interesting question. Essentially, a business plan for startup visa is nothing different than a regular business plan, with few differences. If you're writing a business plan for a startup visa program, you need to make sure that you're covering the benefits to Canada, and that can't be simply just we're creating jobs. You need to explain what problem specifically from Canada is it solving. It can be a global business, but how are those benefits related to Canada? For example, in Canada, we care about our environment. If you have a business that is in the clean tech, that's going to be relevant, or it can be very niche problems that we have in our cities. For example, in Toronto, we have a daycare problem. So if your startup is related to that, make sure on top of the general business plan that we're talking about, you have covered how is this related to Canada and how is it going to benefit Canada.
Thank you, Ehsan. The next question is, everyone knows that a business plan is required when applying for admission to a designated organization under the Canadian Startup Visa Program, like an angel investor, a venture capital, or an incubator. But can you explain how a business plan will affect the IRCC officer's decision after this whole process in the final PR application for the startup visa co-founders?
As an applicant, you need to understand that an IRCC officer, first of all, is not an expert in business and is not an expert in business plan, but they have seen a lot of business plans. So you need to put these two together. Even if you're not an expert, when you see a lot of examples, you're going to start creating benchmarks for yourself. So to the first point, you need to make sure that you're writing your business plan and details in a way that even someone not familiar with your industry, your business, can easily understand.
So basically, to sum up, quality and to make sure it's realistic, because they probably receive thousands of these business plans with applications, and RCC officers are no experts. So the less confusing it is, the better. So this leads us to the next question, Ehsan. Should business plans for startup visa be very long, detailed with lots of stats and data? What is your general advice for the startup visa business plans?
There should be a balance there. You don't want to include a lot of details, but you don't want to also talk in high levels about your business and how you're going to implement. So make sure you include enough details in terms of statistics. For sure, you need some stats, you need some numbers, you need some proof to show that there's a need for this here in Canada and globally. Also, the cash flow projection. Cash flow projection is very important. I know it's difficult for a lot of you or the people who are helping you to do that, but it has to be very realistic. It can be to your benefit or work against you when you're applying for startup visa program or the work permit. You should have financials that are backing these numbers. If you are mentioning numbers that you don't have proof of funds for it, that's going to work against you.
The next question is, when a startup wants to apply under the startup visa program in Canada, how many times are they expected to create or update their business plans?
Absolutely. So business plan is a live document. It has to be updated constantly as your business progresses. Business plan is essentially reflecting what are you planning to do, and you need to mention those accomplishments. What have you accomplished so far? Before getting to designated organization, you might have to, change it many times as they request to get to the standard, because they want to make sure that you're submitting a business plan that's up to IRCC's standards.
Thank you for letting us know that the business plan for startup visa is a live document. It's not a write it, set it, and forget it plan. Here's another interesting question. What are the top 3 mistakes you have seen startups and consultants make on their business plan under the startup visa program?
I think for me, the first one is business plans about technology. It's written on a very high level that even technical reader will not understand. For example, for the past few years, we've been seeing a lot of mention of AI, but there's no detailed explanation of what it is. They want to look so sophisticated and advanced and innovative, which they talk about the technology on a high level. The second one, which baffles me, is how weak the argument is. So if you don't have evidence on market means, if you don't have like thousands of users and customers, and you're making assumptions based on market data, any data that you search and find, the argument you're making, it has to make sense. I see people constantly using the aging population in Canada, and they relate it to matters and businesses that are not relevant. The good market research is very important. Number 3, it's important to mention that you have done some primary research as well. Where in your business plan have you mentioned that you have talked to some people in Canada, or you've visited Canada, or you've done some research that proves that this business is going to work, because you're miles and kilometers away from here. So just reading information off internet is not going to really validate your point.
Give us an example of the worst business plan you've ever seen in your life for a Canadian startup, without mentioning their names, of course. We don't want anyone suing us.
There's one that made me laugh a lot and feel really bad for that client. Of course, we helped them after, but when they submitted their due diligence report to us, as soon as the first page of business plan started, the font was big and there was nothing basically in the business plan. It's just they were trying to make it look like 30 or 40 pages. I'd say that's not important, and there were no graphs, nothing visual. I've seen another business plan that, there's no structure, everything back to back. Those were really the worst business plans I had seen. No structure, no point. Plus, they were mainly talking about the success in a different country, which had nothing to do with the need in Canada.
I do feel sorry for that client, but it seems like you guys helped them out afterward. Now, how about this next question, Ehsan? Give us now an example of the best business plan you've ever seen under the Startup Visa program, and why you believe it was one of the best ones you've seen so far.
I don't want to brag, but the ones that we have created are always like that, but the one that came to us without us, doing any of the work for that. It was a business plan that first started with a short executive summary of the business with a simplest lingo explaining what the technology is and how is it benefiting the world. So you could, as a 5-year-old, you could easily understand in the first few sentences, what is this business, who is it helping, and what's the benefit to the world. But then it was also the structure. Everything about it was written in a balanced format. There were a lot of visuals, statistics, examples, looking like a marketing material. You should also have some graphs and information, plus market research.
Tell us about the new startup visa fast track. Who's going to be prioritized and who isn't?
All the startups in Canada, they know how difficult it is to get investment in Canada. So if you've attracted investors in Canada to issue a letter of support for you, or if you have secured investment from other institutional investors in Canada, not part of the designated organization network, definitely that's going to be prioritized compared to the other ones. But the second tier are the incubators. There are a lot of incubators in the Canada's network that if you get a letter of support or if you get admitted to their programs, those applications are going to be prioritized. But they're not going to be easy on clients. They want to make sure that they are working with the right fit.
Going back to this topic, do you think if somebody's representing the startup who already knows people in that designated organization who are being fast-tracked by IRCC would make a difference in terms of the chances of being admitted?
Of course, if you have a warm introduction in any world in the business world, it is going to make a big difference for you. From a business, from getting an interview, from getting a job, the warm introduction for sure goes a long way. Plus, if a designated organization see you've been backed by a group that are expert in this, they will have a peace of mind that you have support when you land in Canada.
Just to reinforce that point, how many applications do these designated organizations receive in a week through their website or email or direct messages?
Hundreds. Who knows? It's a lot. Yeah. I remember when I was working in the incubator, sitting behind the system, receiving all those applications, and it takes a lot of time for you to go through them. And if the time is important for you, you definitely need a warm introduction, something that's going to get your application up first.
So with the new Fast Track Startup Visa program, how do you expect that business plans should be revised or customized for the IRCC preferred designated organizations? With this new timeline, what do you suggest based on your expertise?
Definitely it's going to be a change, whether they have their own templates or they're letting you use whatever template that you have. These incubators are incubators that they have worked with different scale of clients. So they're going to expect you to write your business plan in a different way, explain it better. To make it simple, you have to submit a higher quality business plan to these incubators.
Perfect, Ehsan. Thanks again for joining us today and explaining about the Startup Visa business plan, what is expected, how it should be prepared, what not to do, what to do, and all those fine details for this live document. Thank you again, Ehsan. I hope to see you soon again. Of course, we're both in the startup ecosystem, sharing ideas, thoughts, and exchanging information like everyone should, especially with the new changes coming up. Thank you, Ehsan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Reza.
If you're thinking about immigrating, whether permanently or temporarily, you're at the right place. Our team speaks over 9 languages and we help applicants from over 49 different countries during the immigration process. And this list is growing every day. Click the link below this video and get a free email assessment for eligible applicants only. And if you're ready to apply and would like a one-on-one session with me or any of my licensed immigration team members at Ingwe, you can also book a session directly using the consultation link below this video. And if you have questions, remember, we're here weekly live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram every Thursday, 11 a.m. North America Eastern Standard Time, where we answer all of your immigration-related questions for free on the spot. Take care. See you next Thursday.